This is the ISO on the Gonzaga Nation Media Network. I'm your host, Dan Dickau. And as every Gonzaga game comes up on the schedule, we get a chance to talk to the coach of the opposing team tonight. We get a chance to talk with Northern Illinois head coach Rashon Burno, someone who's played at a high level. He's coached at a high level for a number of years, been coached by some of the greatest coaches in the game that you may never have heard of. So looking forward to this conversation. How was the trek into Spokane with all this cold?
The good thing is we're used to the cold coming from Illinois, but layover in Phoenix. It's been a long day, but guys like to get off campus, and there was the first time, some of our guys first time on the West Coast going to Phoenix, so we got a chance to get a little bit of sun, but a little bit tired. Can't wait to get some rest.
Well, you guys are in for a heck of an atmosphere at McCarthy Athletic Center. Regardless of who Gonzaga plays, it's a good atmosphere. It's a good scene. Tell us a little bit about how this game came about, because if I remember correctly, reading your bio, you spent some time at Arizona State under Bobby Hurley, but most of your connections are in the Midwest with the DePaul area as well as on the East Coast. So how did this game come about?
Well, just being in the business, I got a chance to get to know Coach a little bit through Billy Donovan, working on his staff. Coach and Billy are pretty close, and then obviously being a fan of his program, what they've done over the last 25 years, coming from just a mid-major program and to get it to this stature is something that you got to really have a tremendous amount of respect for, and how they put this thing together and consistently have done it over the course of the last 25 years. So when we got an opportunity, we got the call, I want to say end of May, early June, about an opportunity to play. And I want my guys to go out and obviously test themselves against the very, very best in the country. And so we were super excited about the opportunity.
Well, Gonzaga just played a team out of your conference, the MAC, in Kent State, and Kent State gave them a heck of a game the other night. Took a late run from Gonzaga to pull away. What can we expect from your basketball team style of play, and maybe some of the keys that you guys have to be good at to have a chance to win?
Well, I think anytime you go on the road, you got to be really good at ball security. They are an offensive juggernaut. Their pace of play is obviously one of the top in the country. And then just thing that's just underrated is that they're very, very efficient. They're in the top 5 in that category in efficiency, offensive efficiency, and they guard you as well. So this is a complete ball club. And then they've been battle tested in this early season. They faced everyone from Kentucky to Purdue to Texas. So these guys, Baylor, these guys have all gone through a gauntlet of games. And so you got to go out and you got to be, not perfect, but close to it. Anytime you be on the road, you got to, be 8 to 10 points better. But you got to have great ball security, great shot selection, and you got to stay out of harm's way, especially with a team that is experienced and talented. We got to be really smart, but we got to play with aggression, but it got to be controlled because they can score in bunches and they want to play fast.
So you grew up just outside New York City, Jersey City. You played at one of the best high school basketball programs before they closed their doors in recent years. For listeners that don't know, that's St. Anthony's High School. Played for the legendary Hall of Famer in Bob Hurley. Is he who sparked your interest in wanting to become a coach? What was the process like playing for him as well?
Well, it was a tough process because he was very demanding, and being from Jersey City, you got to have some grit to you. You got to have some toughness, just because, like most inner cities, it's a really tough environment, and if you don't have a nice posture or an exterior about you, you can get eaten alive. And so Coach Hurley really was one of those guys who taught you through life lessons, taught you through basketball. That was a vehicle to try to help you get beyond, Jersey City. And I just loved the way he connected to young men who needed him to be a really, really tough person, because they lacked a lot of guidance, they lacked a lot of discipline. And without discipline, it's really tough to get out of any inner city. And so those were the things I picked up. Those are the things I thought I needed to have in my life. And those are the things I try to instill in my players, is just to have that discipline to get through tough times.
So did you play with Bobby Hurley? Obviously went on to play at Duke, or were you just a little bit behind? Because I'm trying to piece the years together quickly in my head.
Bobby was more about a decade ahead of me.
Okay.
But we, being in a small high school, being in Jersey City, we grew up idolizing Bobby. And he was one of those guys who constantly came back and taught us through his lessons, and then somebody that everyone aspired to be, because, he's a 6-foot Jersey City guard that got to the pinnacle. So super cool guy. And he was a guy that, everyone wanted to emulate from Jersey City.
So Northern Illinois, you're playing at Gonzaga, obviously, here on Monday night. What about being in that Northern Illinois area? Because Chicago's a basketball hotbed. How do you go about recruiting, trying to get guys that fit what you want to do? When many times I can only imagine there's plenty of talent there. You just have to kind of sift through it to find the guys that fit what you want, and maybe find the underrated gems that some of the Big Ten schools and or DePaul, where you played at, miss on.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating process to recruit the state of Illinois, because now with the transfer portal, you can really revamp pretty quickly. And then, there's so many really good players. You got to be, it's a process, because, we don't have a name yet. And so we're not going to be someone's first choice. And so this is really an evaluation job right now. And so we spend this enormous amount of time watching film, collecting data, really honing in on the transfer portal when it's available, and try to be strategic. But, I think we just got to continue to put forth a good brand of basketball. And then, obviously you hope to attract some of the local who wants to stay home. But the transfer portal is vital to get this thing to the next level. And so we love to get bounce back guys who in other places who want to come back close to home. And so we've done pretty well in that space. But, Chicago, Illinois, the state alone got a lot of talent. We just got to do, we've been trying to really hone in and get guys to stay home and give them opportunity to play in front of their family and friends.
So Gonzaga basketball is kind of like the professional team in town. You get all the support. There's no NBA team. You've been in the Chicago market with the Bulls. You've also been in the New York area with the Knicks and the Nets. Which team you going with out of those three? The Bulls, the Knicks, or the Nets?
Well, Billy's with the Bulls, and I live in the state of Illinois, so I'm going with the Bulls.
No line. Awesome. You can't go wrong, because I get into this with friends all the time. MJ's the greatest of all time, so I always pull for the Bulls when there's a toss-up question like that as well. So, Coach, I appreciate the time. Sounds like travel was a long day, but enjoy the kennel. But for Gonzaga fans' sake, don't have too good of a time.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Be safe.